deep in the heart of the desert, where the sun shined bright and the sand stretched for miles, stood Phil the Saguaro Cactus. He had been there for over 100 years, standing tall with his long arms reaching toward the sky. But Phil felt useless. "I can't move, I can't run, and no one ever wants to hug me," he sighed. "What's the point of being a cactus if I have no friends?" Phil watched as desert creatures scurried past him, never stopping to talk. The hawks soared high above, the rabbits darted through the brush, and the lizards basked in the sun. He felt invisible, just another spiky, lonely cactus in the vast desert. But one hot afternoon, something changed. A desert tortoise slowly wandered by, his shell dusty, his steps heavy. He stopped in front of Phil, his eyes tired and dry. "Oh dear," the tortoise rasped. "I'm so thirsty. I haven't found water for days." Phil's heart softened. He had been storing water from the last big rain inside his thick green body just in case. "You can have some of my water," Phil offered. The tortoise's eyes lit up. "Really?" With a gentle squeeze from inside, Phil let out tiny drops of water, just enough for the tortoise to drink. The tortoise smacked his lips happily and smiled up at Phil. "Thank you, kind cactus. You may not move, but you're a lifesaver." With that, the tortoise slowly plodded away, leaving Phil feeling warm inside. As the sun began to set, Phil sighed again. "Well, that was nice. But I'm still all alone." Just then, a small bird with bright red feathers flapped frantically toward him. "Oh no, where will I sleep?" the bird chirped. It was a Gila woodpecker, lost and desperate for shelter. "Excuse me, tall cactus," the bird said, his tiny voice hopeful. "Would it be all right if I carved a small hole in your side for my nest? The sun will be up soon, and I need protection from the heat and hungry predators." Phil thought about it. Wouldn't that hurt? But looking at the little bird's worried face, he smiled. "Go ahead, I'd be happy to help." With quick, careful pecks, the woodpecker carved a cozy little hole inside Phil's side. It didn't hurt at all. In fact, Phil felt lighter, like he had a purpose. "Thank you, dear cactus," the bird chirped, snuggling into his new home. Phil grinned. Maybe he wasn't useless after all. The next morning, a desert pig with bristly fur came trotting by. He sniffed the air and spotted a juicy, prickly pear growing on Phil's arm. "Oh, mighty cactus," the desert pig said politely, "I am very hungry. May I eat that prickly pear?" Phil chuckled. "Go ahead." The desert pig happily chomped on the fruit, licking his lips. "Delicious, thank you. You share so much with the desert." Phil felt proud. As the days passed, more animals stopped by. Cactus mice nibbled on his prickly pears, and in return they scattered his seeds across the desert floor. At night, bats fluttered by, sipping nectar from Phil's flowers. Bees, butterflies, and moths followed, pollinating his blossoms and helping new cacti grow. The desert began to change. Over the months, tiny new saguaro cacti sprouted around Phil. Lizards scampered between the growing plants. Hawks and owls nested in his arms. Beetles crawled in his shade. The whole desert became full of life because of him. Phil wasn't lonely anymore. But more importantly, he realized something special. He didn't need to move or hug to make a difference. Just by being there, he had helped dozens of animals find food, water, and shelter. One evening, as the stars twinkled above, Phil smiled at the young cacti growing nearby. "Remember," he told them, "each and every one of you counts. You may not run or play, but you make the desert a home for so many." And from that day on, Phil the Saguaro Cactus lived a happy life surrounded by friends, knowing that he was the heart of the desert.